What is good, YouTube? Warstu here with a video on Spider-Man Far From Home, which is personally my favourite Marvel movie that has ever come out. So, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe to never miss any of the videos. We are currently giving away the Captain Marvel movie on Blu-ray, 4K, or DVD, which is pretty sick. And then what's going to happen whenever Infinity War Part 2, aka EndGame, comes out, we will give that away. But that doesn't come out, I think, until September. So, what we've got to do is subscribe to the channel with notifications on and let me know down below why should you win. So, as fascinating and as in-depth as the end to the Infinity Saga and being Spider-Man Far From Home was, could have been very different. So recently in an interview, the director for Spider-Man Far From Home has revealed that essentially Peter Parker was going to expose himself, he was going to be their hero, and he wasn't going to be exposed by Mysterio. Now this play would have been very different. So during an interview with the New York Times, this was said. We play with the idea that Peter was the one who sacrifices his identity out of necessity during the final battle. Then it seemed more interesting if Mysterio tricks him into doing it. But at any time he wrote a version where he was being revealed to the world in that battle, it felt like it was diminishing to the overall victory. So instead, Mysterio potentially ruining Peter's life entirely in an earlier draft was far more restrained than the web head revealing his own identity may have been intriguing, but the moment we got with the news reporter felt more in tune with Quentin Beck's character. He is, after all, someone who always has a final trick up his sleeve. Now, this does sound very fantastic. So I went to an early screening of this movie, and when I thought, when we seen this, I thought, are they trying to do Identity Crisis? You know, the famous Spider-Man comic book story, Identity Crisis, where, you know, there's a bunch of different Spider-Mans and they're all having identity crisis. Maybe that could be a cheeky nod. I mean, personally, I didn't get to talk to the writer or the screenwriters about this, but that is where I thought they were going. So it is potentially very interesting. And then it went on to say, in fact, the Spider-Man ending as a whole could have seen Spider-Man off on a bit of a downer, with the two of the post-credit scenes being bumped into the actual movie before it became a tag. It was really just the end of the movie, right as he feels he's stepping up as Spider-Man. He has pulled the rug from underneath him. Kudos to Marvel for following through with the brave decision, taking the road less travel makes a potential MCU Spider-Man 3. So if this does follow suit, then it will be 2 years, 2021, before we have the next movie. But as we know, this sounds pretty cool, but there is the whole debacle about if this movie doesn't break 1 billion, the rights go back to Sony. But this doesn't really make any sense because Sony receives money. I presume Marvel pays them to make the movie. So it really doesn't make any sense why the movie has to make 1 billion in order for them to keep the movie. It really doesn't make any difference. So we are expecting this movie to come out in 2021. Tom Holland himself did kind of hint at something like that, which was very interesting. And also, what is interesting is it appears that in a different interview, the source is comicbookmovie.com, it appears that Mysterio's character was going to play out slightly different. So there was a version of Mysterio throughout the movie where Mysterio was a villain throughout the whole movie. Around the halfway point of Spider-Man Far From Home, Mysterio's villainous nature is revealed, but for comic book fans, this wasn't a surprise. However, there was a version of the movie where Quentin Beck would have been bad from the start. With Mysterio, there was a version of the story where he was bad at the forefront, in and out villain that Peter and Nick were chasing around Europe as he pulled off these events, all building to the backstory of why he was doing this, which was a worthy different third act. We went down a lot of different roads. Ultimately, Mysterio deals so much in deception, it was sort of natural that it led to the story structured where his identity was a mislead for a while. So this is pretty cool. I mean, the changes that could have been implemented realistically wouldn't have made any difference. It would have had more of an impact with the general audience who don't know who Mysterio are, because a lot of people were kind of shocked when Mysterio actually was revealed to be the villain. I mean, I somehow ruined it for some people in my non-spoiler review because I said Mysterio was villain, but I was on the prerequisite that if you've watched the trailers, you should have already known that Mysterio is a villain. So this is pretty fascinating. It's always fascinating when stuff comes out for movies, when they have more movies coming, i.e. Spider-Man 3, etc. So it's a bit different to when the EndGame directors keep saying, no, the Captain America ending meant this, no, Kevin Feige meant this, no, the other Russo saying something completely different. So for the EndGame, it doesn't really make any sense explaining how things could have been different in deleted scenes. But for Spider-Man Far From Home, only being the second movie in a trilogy in the MCU 6-movie deal, it makes a lot of sense. And this is very, very interesting. So also, in a different interview on IGN.com, IGN asked a question. When Peter has the vision of Tony's grave, then a zombie comes out. Was this intentionally your nod towards Marvel Zombie? John Watts laughs. I would say that's a coincidence, but I do love Marvel Zombies, so I don't know. What's amazing about Marvel and Marvel comics especially is that any idea you come up with, someone has done it somewhere. Every thing you think of is original idea. You just go back and do a tiny bit of research, then you find, oh, someone did that. Here's a panel that someone had drawn. That is exactly like what you were pitching. So there's like an infinity library to draw from in a way. So it is interesting that even though everyone I've seen a bunch of, I've not covered it on this channel, I've seen a bunch of YouTube videos and some Instagram posts about this, but yeah, it's interesting that it had nothing to do with Marvel Zombies, which is cool because that scene, it hit you in the feels as it was simply Iron Man. So as you guys know, I like to tag on other stories to the end of these videos. So, I mean, I don't really want to mention this because I think it's quite ridiculous. So what's happened is, I mentioned this in another video as well, is Joe and Anthony Russo are teasing something at San Diego Comic-Con, and the whole internet is freaking out thinking this is a Phase 4 announcement. Now, unless they've literally signed a contract to be in like producing another Marvel movie, then no guys, it's got nothing to do with Phase 4. They're teasing something which is the day before, which is the Friday, which is the 19th. The Marvel Hall H San Diego Comic-Con isn't till the Saturday. Do you really think they will be allowed to do this? Yes, I know they've said we would come back to Marvel to do Secret Invasion. Now, Secret Invasion is not going to be revealed on the Friday before the Saturday's event. Is it? No. I mean, they did Civil War, they did Avengers 3, they did Avengers 4. We do not need the Russo bros in the MCU again. Well, at least not for a while yet. I mean, guys, come on, seriously. There's a bunch of like news websites. Like it's funny, the Metro, which is like a UK website. The Metro, it's quite well known in the UK. It's reporting major Phase 4 announcement at San Diego Comic-Con, written by Rebecca Lewis. No, sorry, they're not teasing anything. If you really know, it's to do with their production company. As if you actually Google what the Russo bros are doing, let's do it right now. Russo bros next project, and let's see what it comes up with. The Russo Bros' next project is a Magic the Gathering animated series for Netflix. The planes of one of the biggest card games in the world are heading to the streaming service, and the men behind Earth's mightiest heroes at Marvel Studios are bringing them to life. So essentially, it's most likely to do with that. That is their next project, and I believe some of the cast might be some of the Avengers, maybe, potentially. But it's interesting how websites will spin something a certain way. But what's you do the same thing? No, not really. I really don't do that. But it is interesting, guys. It's news. I like to talk about other stories at the end of this video. So after I posted the video when I was talking about Millie Bobby Brown becoming a character, maybe Piper, in the Eternals movie, Boss Logic made a pretty sick image, which I put in the thumbnail for my last video. It's such a cool image. So if she is going to be casting that role, that would be very interesting. So let's go back to the Russo bros. So back in, I guess you could say, April, the Russo bros confirmed that they are done with Avengers movies till after EndGame. Let's give them a quote. "It's our EndGame, at least for now. We don't have any plans to make any other Marvel movies. It certainly may come up in the future at some point. We have a wonderful working relationship with Marvel Studios and a great passion for what we're doing." Okay? So there you have it. They're not teasing Avengers 5. Even if I put it in this title, it's just to get your attention, to make you clear on the fact that they're not actually teasing this, guys. I just got to get your attention. Okay? Got to get your attention. So let's get into the next story. So this I guess you could say is a bit of a retcon, but not really. So we put out a story earlier that it's looking like Millie Bobby Brown is going to be playing a character in the up-and-coming Eternals movie, which will start shooting later this year. So the article was written by Variety, who is one of the most respected and one of the biggest publications. So let's see what she had to say. Today, she did a live Instagram Q&A and denied that she'd been cast into a Marvel movie. Everybody thinks I'm going to be in a Marvel movie. Not that I know of. My family and I have no idea, so I just want to let everyone know that as of right now, she's not. This is pretty interesting, guys. Pretty interesting. Because basically what happens is when you get offered a job for a movie, you sign a non-disclosure agreement, and you can't say you've got the job until they reveal it. It's kind of like Jason Momoa knew he was playing Aquaman back when he was doing the Game of Thrones role, but he couldn't actually say anything. So she'd be under a non-disclosure agreement if that's a reference. Let me know if you know who I'm talking about. If it was actually true. So she might deny it, but officially from a contractual point of view, she wouldn't even be able to say it, even if it was true. So, is Keanu Reeves going to be there as well? Apparently, Marvel Studios are tracking him. The Eternals movie is going to have everyone in it. I'm just waiting for Marvel to message me and say, Stuart, aka Warstu, we love your work. Could you come in the Eternal movie? And I'll be like, yeah, okay, I guess so. So that is it for this video. Let me know what you think about Spider-Man exposing himself. Do you think he should have done that? I think it would have been interesting. Is the Russo brothers actually confirming Avengers 5 Secret Invasion? Yeah, I'm probably going to put something like that in the title. And also, do you think that Millie Bobby Brown is basically lying? But like I say, guys, nothing is confirmed or denied until we find out. We know one thing for sure, that Kevin Feige will be announcing the Eternals movie at San Diego Comic-Con in just over 2 weeks' time. So I've been your host for this episode of Warstu, I guess you could say, and I will catch you in another video very soon. Catch you later.